Meeting to order. Roll call, Bob Phoenix,
Present.
Peter Kuprak,
Present.
Dottie Travers,
Present.
Dave Martin,
Present.
Mark Benjamin, present. Greg Schlau is absent. Also present from staff is Rich Shuck and Catherine Rose. We do have a quorum. All members will be seated for all business. With 5 seated members tonight. Communications,
None.
none. Hearing none. Acceptance of the May 11th, 2021 meeting. If I can get a
Phoenix.
motion.
Bob Phoenix, motion to accept.
Could I get a second, please?
I second it, Dottie.
Any errors, omissions, or corrections? Hearing none. All those in favor to grant, Bob,
Aye.
Dottie,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Mark Benjamin, I also unanimous. Meeting minutes have been accepted as presented. Excuse me. Old business?
No old business. I'd like to point out that the agenda that I sent out to everybody and that I posted on the Planning and Neighborhood Services website said Tuesday, June 14th. It was posted correctly in the clerk's office as Monday, June 14th.
I just read it in as Tuesday, June 14th, because I just reading and not paying attention. So we'll correct that as well in my minute, in my presentation. New business. Appeal V 2107 Myrtle Drive, property located off Myrtle Drive, Dominican Drive, and Wisconsin Avenue. Request for use variance of zoning regulation 4.1.1 conformity requirements to permit use of the property for development of up to 80 apartments in the business park zone. Property of the estate Margaret Stanley, application of Alexander Gebby, Everreal Properties LLC. Assessors map 21, block 1, lots 5, 5.1, 5.2, and 5.RD. BP zone property is located off of Myrtle Drive, Dominican Drive, and Wisconsin Avenue.
Okay, exhibit lists. A is a ZBA application. C is a concept layout. C is a previous subdivision plan. D is a notice of public hearing, the abutters letter. E is a public notice. F is a recommendation from CCP. G is the minutes of the May 18th, 2021 CCP meeting, and H is a zone map.
Okay. Could the applicant please identify themselves, explain to the board what you'd like to do and why you need a variance to do it?
This is Mark Block. I represent Everreal Properties. I'm here this evening with Mr. Alexander Gebby, who is the member in Everreal Properties, and Brandon Hanfield, who's the engineer for this project and has worked with me in developing this plan. As the application says, Everreal Properties has a contract to purchase this property from the Stanley estate. The properties are the remaining parcels from the original property developed by William Stanley. The property as originally developed was subdivided and became in part St. Jude's Commons, Cambridge Estates, and the FedEx warehouse building. Richard, can we bring up the plan?
Concept.
Yeah, the concept.
Yep. Let me rotate this for everybody.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Yep.
As you can see now, on this concept, north is roughly towards the top of the plan, east is to the right, west is to the left, and south is on the bottom. The property in part fronts, it's off of Wisconsin. To access the property, you get in the property off of Dominican Drive or or through Cambridge Estates, through Oxford Drive. The property that we're seeking to purchase is located northerly, I'm sorry, it's on the west side of Myrtle Drive and surrounds St. Jude's Commons. And that's the large piece that's up in the upper left quadrant of the plan. The part of the extension of Myrtle Drive is also part of this property. You can see the cul-de-sac at the lower right of the large parcel.
See this, honey?
And then on the east side of Myrtle Drive, there is property that is located to the right of the cul-de-sac, and you can see there are a depiction of 3 buildings on there, or one, let's just say 1 building on there. And also comprising this property is a parcel at the south, which was dedicated originally as conservation open space, and that's part of the property also. What we're seeking to do is construct up to 80 apartments in the 2 buildings that, one of which is on the larger parcel to the south and west of St. Jude's, and then across Myrtle Drive to the south. The property, as originally developed, was in the IP zone and was developed in the 1990s. And the plan you see was an original plan done by Chandler Palmer and King, or CPK, which is subdivision plan number 344. And what we've done is taken 344 and outlined, Mr. Hanfield outlined the area that we're purchasing, and we seek to have rezoned. I'm sorry, have the variance granted. This subdivision, except for the FedEx warehouse building, which sits situated on Wisconsin Avenue, was developed entirely as residential and has sat there all these years, for more than 30 years, undeveloped. It was originally supposed to be a residential development, and we believe the IP zone at that time allowed for residences within the IP zone and multifamily within the IP zone. Otherwise, Cambridge Estates and St. Jude's could not have been built on this approved subdivision plan or the approved site plan. When the zoning in the industrial park was changed to the business park, multifamily was omitted from the permitted uses within the zone. We don't know why that was done, but that's what was done. And what we're looking to do is to use the property as it was originally supposed to be developed as residential, and to have the multifamily use allowed within the in this area by variance. It's the logical development of these properties and compatible with the original community. The alternative would be to likely have this property undeveloped, either commercially or industrially. It just hasn't developed in all these years. And we believe that the hardship is present to make these remaining property conducive and coincident with the residentially developed property within the business park zone. There's ample parking. The access is through Myrtle and Dominican Drive. We believe it's a good use of the property. Will allow property to go back on the tax rolls, developing substantial tax revenue for the city. It is will not overburden the surrounding community at all. Community. 'Cause, you know, 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 'cause I don't know, Brandon, if you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think you covered it, Mark. I think it's the topography, frontage, and other limitations that make this a difficult commercial property or business property. And it's surrounded by the residential, including, I believe it's Woods Apartments to the very south as well. So it's on 3 of the 4 sides, it's residential development. And we think it infills nicely with those residential developments to support the business uses.
I would also add, this property extends into the town of Franklin, although the applicant is not purchasing any property across the Franklin town line. The rear of this property will be abutting the town of Franklin. We have nothing further to add, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Dave, any questions?
I don't think so.
Bob?
Basically, the only question I have is concerning the proximity to Franklin. Is there any cross communication that needs to be dealt with? I saw that the application did not include the property was within 500 feet, but the Franklin line is right there at the back of the property. So that's my only question, is whether or not there needs to be any communication with them.
Yes, there is, and that's the reason why we didn't hear this last Tuesday. Tuesday morning when I was preparing everybody's packages so that we could meet in person, I sat down and looked at that zone map and I said, wait a minute, this abuts the town of Franklin, which I overlooked. So I had to send notice to the town of Franklin. I talked to the planner in Franklin, and I sent the notice to the clerk. So that's why we're hearing it this evening.
Okay, that's my
I
only
would
question.
apologize for that. Apparently, I didn't check off the box on the original application, so to the extent I contributed to that mistake, I apologize to Richard Shook and thank him for finding it at the last minute.
Okay, thank you.
Dottie?
Yep, nothing. I'm all set.
Peter?
No questions.
Okay. I also have nothing.
Mark, can I make a statement before we close
Sure.
the public hearing?
Yeah.
So for disclosure, I had a couple of abutters and an attorney for an abutter who had contacted me previously. I contacted them directly. I sent them all the Zoom meeting information. They also had my cell phone number if they had any problems logging in. So I just want to make it very clear that there was people that said they were going to be in attendance or possibly be in attendance, and unless they're out in the audience here, which none of the names are familiar, I just wanted to disclose on the record that the people that requested it, they all got the specific login and my cell phone if they had problems.
And Mr. Benjamin, can I add something to what Mr. Shook said?
Absolutely.
I was contacted by St. Jude's, by both their counsel, by a member of their board, and by their attorney. They had some concerns, principally because they park part of what is Myrtle Drive and would be conveyed to Everreal. We've reached an understanding with them concerning their parking needs. They have no other comment or objection to my knowledge. And it's been represented to me that they're not objecting to this application.
Okay. All right, thank you. I will, so at this point, I will ask if there's anyone else to speak in favor of this appeal. Is there anyone else to speak in favor?
Hold on once I see a hand up here for Matthew Holberman. I'm not sure.
Okay.
He's not muted.
Yeah, Mark, I'm here. I'm not going to speak in favor. I represent one of the abutters. And so when you open it up to public comments, I'm happy to speak.
Okay. Let me make one more call and then we'll call for opposition. Anyone else to speak in favor? Hearing none. Is there anyone to speak in opposition?
I would like to speak in opposition, please.
Your name and address for the record and your concerns, please.
Sure. My name is Matthew Hoberman. I'm an attorney with Butler, Norris and Gold. I represent one of the abutters. Our address is 254 Prospect Ave, Hartford, Connecticut. My client contacted me when they got a notice of this project and had some questions for me. And I indicated to them I'd be happy to go to the meeting. So here I am attending. It's a very well-run meeting, gentlemen and ladies, so I appreciate that. However, the issue here is that there are other reasonable uses of this property. And the point of getting a variance is to show a hardship and why the hardship prevents the person, the property owner in this case, from the reasonable use of his property. And I don't hear that in this. I hear a claim that the applicant finds that there's a hardship. I'm looking at Exhibit B from the application, and there's only a small portion of the overall property that's going to be used. I heard some indication that the topography may make it difficult. I mean, knowing that there's a FedEx facility nearby, that there's apartments nearby that were approved at the time of the subdivision and are in existence now, whether they're pre-existing non-conforming, I don't know the technicalities of that. But clearly I can, based on the zoning regs that your city has, there's about 30 other reasonable uses for this property rather than apartment buildings. And the planning commission has passed these regulations. There is no multifamily use in this zone. To claim that was omitted, I mean, is accurate in that it's not in there, but the motivation for omitting it could also be clear that they didn't want to have more housing there. And so again, the point that I don't see here is any real hardship on the applicant to use this property for reasonable uses. I do understand that it may be a viable project. The land, not the zone, may be useful for this. The city may even need more housing. All those are very good arguments for why the property owner should be able to use this property for the project that it wants. But right now, the zoning regulations prohibit it. Right now, without showing a hardship, there is no proper approval for this use. Any enforcement of the current zoning regulations against this landowner for another property does not prevent the landowner from using it for another reasonable use. And I think that needs to be explored. I think I would hope the commission will look into this application and question what hardship there is before they can even consider granting a variance. Right? And your regulations are clear when you can grant a variance. And I'm not sure that those circumstances have been met. I mean, one of the other hurdles that needs to be considered is the special circumstances for this lot. Now, there are other surrounding lots. Some are multifamily, some are industrial warehouse like FedEx. I mean, what makes this lot so special that it should get a variance and be able to build multifamily houses? I mean, applying the current regs, again, will not strip this landowner of its right to use the property for reasonable uses. And I just haven't heard anything in the application that shows that the owner is exploring any other uses to use the land.
Okay.
And so without that, I think it's difficult to find a hardship. And without a finding of a hardship, I don't know how you can grant a variance.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Dave, do you have any questions of the opposition, Mr. Holman?
No, I don't think I have any questions.
Bob?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Peter?
Peter, you're muted.
Oh.
Peter, you're muted. There you go.
Okay. Peter, do you have any questions of Mr. Holberman?
No, not right off top of my head now.
Right.
Not now.
Dottie, do you have any questions for Mr. Holberman?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Holberman.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition? Anyone else to speak in opposition?
Uh-oh.
Anyone else to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I would offer the floor back to Attorney Block to possibly answer any potential questions or rebut the concerns of the neighbors before we call this to a close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to inquire which abutter Mr. Attorney Hogan represents.
We didn't ask it, and I don't know that we have the ability to get that through going through the proper channels on back and forth. We really typically try to avoid the ongoing debates.
All right, then let me just address the hardship issue.
Okay,
This property was developed in 1997, I believe. So that's 30 years, or close to 30 years of property sitting fallow as raw land. The owner has been unable to develop that property within the allowable uses in the business park zone. The property is surrounded by residential properties. We believe that from the owner's perspective, a hardship does exist in that there has been no reasonable available use or ability to sell or market this property as commercial or industrial property and have it sell. So that we are proposing that the property be used for what its most logical and reasonable purpose is as a residential community of not more than 80 apartments. And we believe that there is sufficient hardship that this commission can find that would permit a use variance, which is what we are seeking.
I know the answer is in the forms, but it's easier to ask them for me to try to go through the screen pages, Attorney Block. How big is this parcel in total? And how many square feet are these two buildings going to encompass of that?
I think Mr. Hanfield could probably give you answers on those two questions. Mr. Hanfield?
Sure, I'll have to measure the parcels. They're quite large.
I will, just 1 second, I can give you the answer on the acreage in a minute.
So the big parcel is about 40 acres, I believe. And the smaller parcel is about 4. And the conservation area, which separates Norwich Woods from Dominican Drive, is about 3.
Good job. Brandon, there's 37.14 acres on the larger piece. There's 3.62 acres on the other piece to be developed in residential. There's also a piece that's 9.17 acres, which would be, I believe, the conservation area.
Okay, so you've got about 40 acres and you're going to conserve about 9 acres of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the total footprint of the two buildings combined is how much of it?
They're gonna be in the neighborhood of, well, in acres, less than 1 acre.
Okay. That's fine. All right. Dave, any other questions of the applicant?
So has this property been actively marketed for sale or anything else?
I can't, I know that the broker that contacted, or that we contacted or contacted us was Lyman Commercial. I don't know how long they had the property listed, and I do not know any other history of marketing the property other than Lyman's communication to us.
Anything else, Dave?
No, that's all.
Bob, any questions?
No, but I would like to make a comment, and that goes back to almost every meeting we've had that I've commented on, that this is another situation where a use was allowed, and once a zoning change was made, unintended consequences became revealed after the change of zoning, and this, to me, is just another effect of that. I understand that the business park zone does not include residential. That's what they've just included with the new 100 plus acre development out here in the north side of town with this property, that it does not include residential use. However, the original industrial zone use did have residential components attached to it. So I would think that the owner of the original owner of the property, who I assume is still the same owner, went forward with their plans to increase the residential components that they have there. And that door was then shut because the zoning laws had changed.
Dottie, any statements or questions for the applicant?
No, not right now. No.
Peter, any questions or statements for the applicant?
I'm trying to wrap my head around what I've just listened to. I mean, I know when this parcel was developed, Mr. Stanley is now deceased. Just boy, this opened up a new can of worms, as Bob said. So, no, I don't know what to ask right now.
Attorney Block, I have nothing. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close this?
I have nothing further to add, thank you.
Okay.
Mark, before we close this, can I make a couple suggestions or comments?
Sure.
I think, for the record, if Attorney Hoberman didn't state who he was representing, I think that the commission should know which parcel of property and at least look at that and take that into context as to the relevancy of the abutter. And also, if there's any doubts, any questions, any more information that somebody may want, don't close the public hearing, because new information can't be interjected after the close of the hearing.
Okay, if you're,
And if you do decide you want any sort of legal opinions, Attorney Driscoll has informed me that he does have a conflict, and he would give me the names of a couple of attorneys that could represent the board or present an opinion, if that came to that.
all right, if you feel it's permissible to allow Attorney Hoberman to disclose it if he so desires, through our regular rules of back and forth, I would consider that if he's interested in disclosing it for our own.
I think it's important to the context of the public hearing. you know, he's there speaking on behalf of a client. And for the board to be able to make an informed decision, there should be some context of who the person is that has hired him to come speak opposed to it, so that the board can make an educated decision based on all of the information.
All right, so before I entertain that, if we go that route, are we going to give the applicant a chance to add additional testimony? After we find out who, if we find out who the concerned abutter is?
I mean, I don't know if there would be a need for additional testimony, other than just knowing who the concerned abutter is. You know, I don't want to get into a debate between two attorneys. Ultimately, it's your decision, and you know, if there is some context to who the abutter actually is, you may decide, wait a minute, we want more information.
Right.
And then it would be up to you to ask Attorney Block maybe for more information, or somebody. And that's why I suggested not closing the public hearing if anybody had any questions.
All right, how's the board feel? Dave?
I'm gonna ask Attorney Holberman to unmute.
Okay.
So, considering the fact that, what, 3 of the 4 sides were, multi-residential properties, I'm assuming he represents one of those. So that's the context that I take it in. That's my only comment.
Do you think we need?
So I mean,
Are you interested in finding out who it is?
no, I'm not personally.
Peter?
Oh, of course, I'd like to know who he's representing. And not that it's going to make a difference in the decision, but we shouldn't be kept in the dark either. I think we have a right to know.
Dottie?
I believe we have a right to know.
And Bob?
Yeah, I agree with Peter. I think we should know who is objecting instead of remaining anonymous through an attorney.
All right, Attorney Holberman, are you interested in disclosing who your client is?
I do not have an issue, and I think I think that's a good question for the board to ask. I will, however, backtrack a little bit, because I did not have this discussion with my client, and I need to do my job and represent them and to my best ability. If you were to if I were to have time to talk to my client and find out if they had an issue with my telling you who I represent, then I'd be happy to do that. But I just did not plan for that, so I do apologize. If you do take Richard's advice and keep the public hearing open, I can make a call after the meeting, and then I can either follow up with Attorney Block, and you can just take care of this at the next meeting if you want. I don't like to put you in that position. I've been in Attorney Block's position too, and I know it's uncomfortable, but I'm not trying to hide anything. I don't feel it's right to hide anything, but I don't know what my client's desires are.
Understood, thank you. Attorney Block, do you have anything else to add?
I have nothing to add, but if except that if the commission determines to keep the public hearing open, so Attorney Holman and I can have a discussion, and he can let us know whether he can disclose his client's identity. I have no objection to keeping the public hearing open for that purpose.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now it's up to the board how we want to proceed with action. We have a couple options. We can make a motion to continue, awaiting additional information. We could possibly discuss this next. We could get a legal opinion from Corporation Counsel through an alternative attorney, or we could actually move to close this and move it based on the information given in front of us so far tonight. So I'll leave it up to the board to make a decision on which way we want to go. Open for suggestions.
Bob Phoenix, I was pretty much, after reading all of the background information that we have, I was ready to go ahead and move towards closing the discussion portion and or the public hearing, and then I was ready to go forward with the approval before we heard from Attorney Hoberman. My feeling at the moment is to table this for the next available opportunity.
Is that in the form of a motion, Bob?
I'd like to hear from everybody else first, and then I'll make it one, depending on.
Peter, what are your thoughts?
I'm with Bob on this one. I'm willing to go along with his thoughts right now.
Dottie?
Well, first of all, I feel that the attorney should have presented the abuttal property owner. I don't see why it's so secretive because the address of it was given. Secondly, I feel as if this is part of the presentation for the variance. I believe we should move forward. I don't believe we should be keeping up. First of all, we rescheduled this meeting from last Tuesday to Monday, and we're right back where we started from, back to Tuesday. So I feel as if we should just move forward. He gave the address of the client. So if the address is there, it basically, we should have it on record what the address is and who owns the property, if it's valid.
Well, Attorney Hoberman hasn't presented the address.
I thought he did in the beginning. Then
No,
I
he
missed.
He gave his address of his legal law office.
Oh, I'm sorry that I missed it. I thought he had given the address of the
No,
client.
Attorney Block gave us the address of all the properties for the application. But Attorney Hoberman just represented where his legal address was.
Oh, okay. Well, took care of that.
Dave?
Bob, was your intent to get a legal opinion for the board?
That's
Or just,
That's correct. Yeah, I was going to make a motion if the board agrees. I was going to go ahead and make a motion to table this this application until such time as we get our legal opinion from the corporate counsel.
I believe that's prudent.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you. And what I'm going to ask of Rich, if we're going to table this, I would like to have Corporation Counsel refer this out. And I'd like to get a legal decision. There were 2 points brought up about whether or not this was ever zoned for residential when it was originally designed. Obviously, it was residential all the way around it. Attorney Hoberman brought up the point, was it or was it not? And I'd like to see some sort of a track that shows it was, and to Bob's point, it was eventually taken away. If it never was zoned for residential, that's a different animal than they had a right that was changed. So I'd like a little more footwork on that through our attorneys as well. If we're going to table it, I'd like to ask that through Rich, not part of the motion, but it's just something that I'm going to ask if we're going
Yes.
to take an additional information next month.
Yeah, so whatever you would like me to request let me know. And what I'll do is I'll draft something and I will send it to you for review to make sure that it's correct in what you're looking for.
Okay.
So basically you're looking for the background on the residential use of the property and the change in the zoning regulation.
Yeah, the history of the changes. And that's just for me. I don't want to cloud up Bob's motion to continue. But if we're going to take additional testimony, I'd like to get as much as we can. Does anybody else have anything else that they'd like to ask of Rich before I move on the motion to continue?
Nope.
Peter,
No, I'm all set there.
Nope.
Dottie,
No,
Dave?
No.
Okay, so we have a motion made and seconded to continue this hearing pending
Oh.
further.
Excuse me, Mark. Let me go ahead and clarify my motion. This is a motion to table and continue this public hearing until such time as the next, I believe, the next zoning
July 13th.
July 13th board meeting, when we receive clarification from legal counsel.
Dave, that was your second. You're in agreement with that motion?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor to table and continue? Bob,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Dottie,
I,
Dave,
Aye.
Mark Benjamin, aye. Rich, anything I need to add before I close to continue?
I don't think so. I think you covered it all. I think it was pretty good. Like I said, I'll draft something.
Okay.
And I'll send it to you for review before I send it in. And Attorney Driscoll, the way he described to me, he'll probably give me 4 or 5 names of attorneys and say, pick one. And they will represent us.
All right. All right. So the motion has been made and seconded to table. It is passed unanimously. Mr. Gabby and Attorney Block, thank you for consideration allowing us to continue this. And thank you for your input, Mr. Holberman. So we will continue till next month and we will move on to application V2108 for 28 Falls Ave, also known as 16 Falls Avenue, request for use variant zoning regulations, section 2.1, commercial bulk requirements to reduce the front yard setbacks to 0 feet, where 20 feet is required for the construction of a 5-foot by 34-foot ramp, property of Mary Ann Holdings LLC, application of Zach Tarner, Thayer's Marine Incorporated, Assessors Map 101, Block 4, Lot 63 and 65, Waterfront Development Zone.
If you can give me 1 second so I can reload, load all of my new exhibits here for you. The computer is going to give me a hard time. Bear with me. It's giving me a hard time. There we go. Now we're getting stuff opened up. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Find my exhibit list. Alrighty, I am set to go if everybody else is.
Okay, could we have the applicant please give their name and address for the record? What you'd like to do and why you need to do it.
Zach Tarner, address is 5 Deerbrook Road in Preston. And we are trying to construct a 5 by 34 foot ramp in front of the existing building for two purposes.
Hold on one second. Mark, you didn't read the notice in, did you?
Oh, not as, well, no, I read it in the beginning.
We only read the first one, didn't we?
Yes.
He read it.
Oh, did he read it? Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Okay. No, I got it. All right, sorry about that, Zach, go ahead.
So we are trying to make a ramp for access to the middle of the building, plus access to a raised electrical panel that is needed in order to get the building permit. So we're trying to construct one, I guess, one ramp slash access rather than multiple. And I guess that's pretty much it.
Okay. So as I'm looking at the screen, there's a ramp at the right-hand end of the building and then a ramp in the dead center in the back. Is that what you're saying? You could omit the ramp on the right by just doing the one in the back, or am I reading that wrong?
Can I explain it?
You please.
Or Zach, did you want me to explain it?
Yeah, Susan, please, Ms. Bannon.
Okay. My name's Susan Mattern, professional land surveyor with DGT Associates located at 148 Route 2 in Preston. And I'm representing Zach Tarner and Mariana Holdings LLC for a site plan at 28 Falls Avenue. The site is currently being utilized as boat storage as part of the Thayers Marine Complex, and this use will continue. The full proposal / site plan will be presented tomorrow night before the Commission on the City Plan, and it will involve the following information. And for the ZBA application, I'm just going to go through portions of what we will be proposing. We want to make improvements to the one-story brick building, and it will have a retail space. Can you see my cursor?
Oh, you want me to share share the screen?
That would be great.
Let's see, how do I give you?
This drawing is fine. I just need to be able to use my cursor.
I think you have to assign her ownership
How
of
do I?
the meeting.
Oh yeah, let me see. Can I do it over here? Make the host allow local files. Okay, I'll make you the host. I think that might be what it would take.
Can you see that?
How's that? Are you?
Not yet. Oh,
Are you, that's me.
oh, okay.
Okay. Oh, I see something here. Remote control. Now I find it. There you go. You got it.
Okay. So this area of the building will be retail space for marine associated sales. And this area will be a maintenance area for the Thayers Marine business. We want to construct a handicap ramp in this area where we actually own the property. You can see the building, it's shaded. And if you follow my cursor, this is the property line. And within this area comes within 5 feet of the building. Comes over here, goes up and out. And then we actually have an access easement in this area to get to the building. The building actually this property used to be 2 different properties, but now it's one, 28 Falls Avenue. So we want to put a handicap ramp in this area. There would be 2 proposed van-size handicap spaces located here. And the easement will also encompass, there'll be an easement associated with these spaces that will encompass these spaces and also go out to access Falls Avenue in this area. Whoops, how'd that happen?
We worked very hard to try to get.
Okay. Click the wrong thing.
There you go.
This ramp will be located at the northeasterly side of the existing building, and it will provide access to the retail space from the proposed parking lot at the top of the ramp. At the top of the ramp, an electric meter will be installed approximately 8 feet above existing grade, above the approximate flood zone elevation of 14.4.
So I guess in summary, I'm saying.
So in order for us to comply with the ADA requirements, a span of handicap ramp cannot exceed 30 feet before a rest or a turn platform is provided. So the ADA requirements require that you can only have, in 12 feet, you can have 1 foot of change in grade. So in this area, in order for us to comply, we need 36 feet of length. We would need a 36-foot long ramp in this area. And we cannot comply with that because we have to have the flat rest area or turn platform because the property line is right there. So we cannot comply with that because we would need 36 feet. And if we push the ramp further in this direction, now we're in the area of the building that is the maintenance service area, which is at a lower elevation. And it's pushing us into the access point for that area, plus also into this 34-foot wide access easement that comes in from Falls Avenue, which we need. We have other points of access, but we need this because this is where a fire truck would come down. So we can't have a ramp in the way at that point. And basically that's where our hardship lies, in that we cannot provide the required ADA guidelines in order to get a ramp in that direction and then to access this doorway. Handicap ramp in this area within our property lines, it really provides for a much safer experience for the handicapped person. They're going to have 2 spots right in this location, and they have a short walk, you know, a little walkway right over to the beginning of the ramp, and then coming around the corner and into the existing doorway here. We do provide a couple additional handicap spaces in this location for future use. But these would be more for people who maybe had more mobility and would be able to, you know, make this, the slope for this proposed is, I believe it's 13%. That would be easier for them to come up if they had more mobility as a handicapped person, as opposed to these people who, you know, the slope would be 1 foot and 12. And, you know, much better for the wheelchair bound, certainly. And I already mentioned that it has been requested of the Thayer family to put the electric meter at the top of the ramp in this location because it needs to be above the flood zone elevation, which is actually at 14.4. And our elevation, existing elevation, ground elevation is about 7.5 feet. So that meter is going to end up at about 15.5 feet high, which is above the flood zone elevation, where all mechanicals need to be once you improve a building in a flood zone. And also, this is also in a floodway. So that's our situation there. We do have Keith Nielsen here from DACO. He's done a lot of work down here in this area for the Thayer family. And I don't know if Keith, you want to add anything to what I've said?
No, I think you've done a great job, Susan. And if any questions come up on the site plan or the coastal site plan, coastal resources, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay.
Dave, any questions?
No, I don't think I have any questions.
Dottie?
No, not right now.
All the people that we're going to hire.
No, I'm pretty good with everything. The explanation was really well, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Peter?
No, it's explained. I can understand it pretty well.
Okay. Rich, I do have a question. So they started out saying that this is going to CCP tomorrow night.
Yes, there's an application for the Commission on the City Plan tomorrow night, which is the site plan approval, correct, Zach? Yeah, it's for site plan approval. So that's why we had to, that's why we got this special meeting, because this was supposed to be last Tuesday as well, but the mailing got messed up to the abutters, so we wanted to make sure everything was correct. And that's why we scheduled the special meeting, because the CCP was already scheduled.
Okay, so do we need to act on this before them, or we need to table pending their action?
No, you would need to act before they can act.
Okay, all right. I just don't want to put us in front of them and then
Right,
backwards.
right. Before we get too far, Susan, can you give me back the host of the meeting,
Oh, yes.
please?
Let's see, how can I do that?
Up by my name, there's 3 dots.
Gotcha.
Right-hand side, and I think it says transfer host. Start my video. I think you stopped my video.
Make host.
Make host, yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, because I didn't want to I didn't want to screw that up and not end this properly so it records properly, and I apologize. Just to clarify, to interject a little bit more. So the ramp on the right side of the building here, which is, remove my little circle back. This ramp here,
Yep.
This isn't subject to the variance. It doesn't require a variance because it does meet the ADA compliance. This ramp over here, Ms. Matter did a good job explaining that. The one thing is, no matter if they requested a ramp, if they put stairs there, they would still need a variance, because the elevation of the building is approximately 3 feet, 3.5 feet, 4 feet from ground level to that door that's in the front of the building. So just to clarify that, the door is there. There's no way to get into it.
So the variance is for the ramp in the rear of the building.
Yes, it's for this ramp right here. The one closest, it's for the ramp that's closest to the ramp for the parking garage.
So it's for a ramp that doesn't meet ADA
Correct.
because there's not enough room for it, but it needs a variance to build any sort of an access into the building.
Correct.
And the hardship will be relocation of the electrical and everything up higher, get it out of the flood zone.
Yeah, because just to kind of explain on that, just so you guys kind of see it. So this area over here, I put some red X's. This is where they were proposing the electrical to begin with on the outside of the building. But the problem is it would be so high that they would have to build another platform out here, and the property is within the flood zone. So we looked at it all, and it made more sense to bring the electrical panel over to the middle next to this door and just extend that top pad a little bit so that it was at the right elevation, so it meets the MPU requirements. It's outside of the building so the meter readers can get to it. And then, because as she explained, the elevation of the left side of that building is 4 feet lower, that electrical panel would have been way on top of a platform that somebody would have had to have a large set of stairs or a ladder to get up to that. So by putting it in the middle, it's easily accessible from the inside too. There's nothing special required there.
I'm just gonna go around the board again. Dave, any questions for the applicant?
No, I don't have any questions.
Bob,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Dottie,
No, I'm fine, thank you.
and Peter?
All set, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else to speak in favor of this appeal? Anyone else to speak in favor? Anyone else to speak in favor? Hearing none, is there anyone else to speak? Is there anyone to speak in opposition? Any opposition? Any opposition? Rich, no hands up, nothing?
No,
Zach or Ms. Mattern, is there anything else you'd like to add before we close it?
No, sir.
Ms. Mattern, are you all set as well?
I believe so, as long as everyone doesn't have any questions.
Okay. All right. If I have no other questions, if I could get a motion, please.
Motion to close. Bob Phoenix.
Bob Phoenix, second, please.
I'll second it, Dottie.
Second. All those in favor to close, Bob,
Aye.
Dottie,
Peter, I.
Peter, I, Dave,
Aye.
Mark Benjamin, I. Meetings, motion, application's been closed. We'll move on to decisions. So application V 2108, 28 Falls Ave, also known as 16 Falls Ave, request for various zoning regulation, section 2.1, commercial bulk requirements to reduce the front yard setback to 0 feet where 20 feet is required. The construction of 5 foot by 34 foot ramp property of Mary Ann Holdings LLC, application of Zach Carter, Thayer's Marine, Assessors Map 101, Block 4, Lot 63 and 65 Waterfront Development Zone. For the application, if I could get a motion, please.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Did you hear my motion?
no, I did not.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve for discussion.
I will second that, Bob.
Motion is made by Bob Phoenix, seconded by
Peter.
for discussion. Go ahead, Bob, it's your motion.
Yeah, I feel that the hardship is fully justified in the fact that they do require handicap accessible facilities into that side of the building where the majority of the parking is going to be, and only having that 5 feet. I'm trying to remember, we did another variance on this building not too long ago, as I recall, wasn't there?
Yeah, we've done a couple. But
Yeah.
just
So,
to correct you, Bob, just following what Rich said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich. This is not for handicap accessibility. The handicap is on the other end. where the-
Correct,
Where the variance is not required.
correct.
oh, okay,
Just
yeah.
for the ramp.
Beg your pardon. No, this is, that's right. This is just to build within the required 20-foot setback, so to reduce to 0.
Correct.
So motion still, same motion, I'm sorry. So, yeah, and I can fully appreciate the hardship.
The hardship would just be the building proximity to the property line. And we-
Correct.
And whether it's a ramp or a step or a stoop or anything we do, we need a,
Yeah, as Rich said, any outside construction or any construction to the exterior of the building is going to require.
the topography of the existing land versus the elevation of the floor requires some.
That's
sort of- I'm not trying to write your motion for you. I'm just trying to make sure we get it right.
No, I appreciate that. Yes, I'm sorry. See, not showing up for a couple of meetings, I kind of lose touch, so.
Peter, are you good with seconded that?
Yeah, wasn't there something with the electrical too, though, having to be moved?
Yeah,
Well,
that wasn't too much of the hardship, but it made
Right.
everything just much better.
It just fits in better. Okay.
Correct.
No, then I'm good with the hardship that was stated for the side of the building, the long side.
all right, Dottie, any comments?
No, I'm all set. The only thing is, the electrical part of it, that they had to move it up to, it was 7.5 and they had to get up above 15, about 15.
Right, okay.
So that was not part of the variant, but anyway, it was a requirement.
Well, they have to do that because of the special flood hazard
Right. Flood.
requirements, and moving it to the end of that pad where the ramp is just made everything much better. And they were actually able to ask for less of a variance by utilizing the existing pad that they were requesting. Otherwise, we would have had another site plan showing another pad outside on the other end of the building.
Right, okay. Okay, I'm all set otherwise.
Dave, any comments?
No, it's just the topography and the, location of the building and the location of the entrance to the building, requires some type of, access. And in this case, they have a ramp that, while might not be ADA compliant, would definitely be, beneficial for those who would, some type of disability that would like a ramp as access instead of steps. But either way, it'd still be a still be a variance, whether it's steps or a ramp.
Correct. All right, I agree with everybody. I'll also be supporting this for those very same reasons. Something as simple as a knee injury, which doesn't make it ADA, just a ramp's a little bit easier to walk up and down. So, and you got to get from one height to the other. It has to happen. So, as we said, topography and elevations require some sort of an elevation change. So they need something to get in the building. So hearing all that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor to grant, Dave,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Dottie,
Aye.
Bob, it was your motion. I hope you vote aye.
I'm voting aye.
Aye, and I also vote aye. So unanimous motion passes. There is a 15-day appeal period. And after that, you can go in and see Rich and apply and get this filed in the town clerk's office, and you can move forward. So do not start anything until the 15-day appeal period is passed. Staff updates.
Thank you so much, everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Just keep a good business in town.
That's right. They do a great job.
Thank you, everyone. Staff updates, Rich?
So I guess I got some updates that are still gonna be in the air. So the format of the meetings. We're allowed to have in-person meetings now. If we have in-person meetings, we have to also allow for the public to call in, to Zoom in or interact from that perspective. I wanted to speak to the board because I believe we also have the opportunity, if everybody wants to stay in a remote meeting situation, we could stay in a remote meeting situation. I think ultimately that's going to depend on what the city manager kind of wants us to do, but I wanted to have this discussion with you guys. Because the city council is meeting in person, but city council televises their meetings, and their meetings aren't necessarily public hearings like ours are public hearings where we have to have that interaction. So if we met in person, we would still have, I would have to be operating a computer and showing exhibits, and there'd be a TV screen in front of you guys facing the table. I would be sitting on the backside on my laptop running a meeting.
So what's going to be easier for you?
You know, I don't know. Easier for me sitting here at my desk, but you know, what's better for everybody else and what everybody's more comfortable with.
That works.
This is Bob Phoenix. We all kind of know my history with Zoom meetings. And, you know, I'm fully vaccinated. We've been in a process of re-entry now for a couple of weeks. So I'm pretty comfortable with in-person meetings. So I'd like to hear from other people though.
Yeah, I don't mind. This is Dottie. I don't mind in-person meeting. I'm vaccinated too. Same situation as Bob.
Dave?
So, yeah, I would prefer to transition to in-person meetings. I'm vaccinated also, and so I would like to do that. Whether when that is, maybe depends on the technology, when it would be available for the room that we have. Well, my preference is in-person meetings.
Also vaccinated, it doesn't really matter to me, but next month, next month, I think I'm scheduled to work that day and I'm gonna be out of town anyways. So I know for the 13th, and I don't have a problem missing a meeting. I know for the 13th, I would possibly be available by Zoom. I may be driving and may not be available at all. But I'm fine with coming back to regular meetings as well.
And to add to that, I will also be out of town, so I will for next month's meeting. So I definitely can't be in person. And I would potentially have some challenges with a Zoom meeting. Not sure what my internet access will be.
Should we put the variances onto the August meeting? If we can't all make the July meeting?
Yeah.
Well, we've already continued it to the July meeting, so I'll have to just figure it out and deal with it, because if we're not going to have a quorum, I've got to look at the dates. We have 65 days to open a public hearing and 35 days to make the decision. So I got to look at what the dates are.
But I mean, really, that's the only thing. Other than that, I think we've all had a few struggles with the Zoom, and I almost feel that these are going easier for the applicant because it's harder for us. Because if we have all of the information in front of us and we can pass it around, there's a little more sidebar conferences with the board. I think it works better for us in person.
Right.
But I don't know how the cases have fallen off so far in the state right now. I'm actually comfortable going out more often. But I mean, there's always going to be a conflict with timing, so.
Bob Phoenix here. Yeah, to me, it sounds like the next meeting may be logistically difficult. Whether or not we would have a quorum would be the question, I think. So I guess what I'm hearing is that the consensus is that, yeah, okay, we can do Zoom meetings, but July seems like a little tough.
At least July the 13th.
Right.
Right. So what I will, if anybody's going to be out of town, if you can let me know, because what I'm going to have to do is, if we don't have a quorum, we can't have the meeting, and we'll have to have a special meeting sometime before the August meeting, because that's way too far out, because we only have 35 days from tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I'm out of town on the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm the same. It's just a question of I don't even think I'm going to have adequate internet access for that to even do a Zoom.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out.
I'd be willing. Yeah.
I'll know more as it gets closer and I can let you know, but I'm in Dave's boat. I doubt I will have access. I think I'm going to be driving back on the 13th. And last thing I want to be doing is in the middle of a vote going through a tunnel and losing this thing.
Right. Okay, that's all I have.
All right. There's nothing else. Motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Bob Phoenix.
I'll second it, Dottie.
Seconded by Dottie. All those in favor of adjourn?
Peter, I.
Aye.
Aye. Dottie, aye.
Dave, I.
Mark Benjamin, aye. Meeting adjourned 8:22.
Okay, thank you, everybody, and we'll look forward to hearing